Hello there and welcome back to my channel. It is of course only me again, and in this week's video I have a very special one for you indeed, because it is finally time for me to unveil my brand new custom preset for the XP Deus 2, introducing to you the Legacy program. Let's get to it. So you're probably thinking, what's so special about this new Legacy program? Well, let me tell you. Today we have come into a field which I have been coming to for a few years. I also know somebody else that's been coming here for many more years than that, and also many years ago a club used to come here and do club digs as well. So that means that there isn't going to be a huge abundance of nice high conductive targets left in here. But that is exactly where the Legacy program comes into play, because this program is designed to literally pick out everything left in the ground, whether it's deep, whether it's shallow, and give you a nice, clear, concise tone as to what's good and what's bad. Now, the Legacy program is just based off of a normal, generic factory program inside of the remote. And yes, anybody can make these adjustments. However, we have done the legwork for you. We have put in countless amounts of hours to try and come up with the perfect recipe for a nice and simple but powerful turn on and go program. This program has been tested by people all over the world. We've tested it on pasture, ploughed ground, on beaches, wet and dry, and in the woodland as well. So we're quite confident that this is going to be a really effective tool in your arsenal when you go out metal detecting. But let's go out today and do a bit of digging, and I'll show you a little bit about why the Legacy program is really going to be a powerful tool for you to use. Now, one of the best features about the Legacy program is its ability to tell you which targets are good and which targets are bad, simply based on the audio. So if you've got a keen ear and you listen very carefully, you can easily distinguish the difference between something that's good and something that's bad, i.e. something that's ferrous and something that's a high conductive non-ferrous metal. Have a listen to this target down here. You can hear that it's kind of good in some directions, but the minute you turn on it, it starts to get quite scratchy, quite broken. Now, this is the program telling you that there is something in the ground, but that it's not a nice, solid, non-ferrous metal, and that it's probably something quite contaminated in there as well. So, chances are, this isn't going to be something worth digging out. But to prove the program and to prove that I'm probably right, let's give this one a little dig and see what we've got. And there we go. Here is the target that was creating all of that noise. And it looks to be just a big iron stud. Nothing in particularly special about that. It's obviously ferrous, but it might possibly have a little bit of a non-ferrous item in the middle, which would have held it onto a door or something like that. But have a listen to it out of the ground. As you can hear, that is not a nice target, and it's certainly not something you want to dig, but the machine told us that it wasn't going to be a nice clean target, and we didn't really have to dig it. So you might be thinking, well, why would you want to dig iron? Surely that stuff's got to stay in the ground. Well, yep, you're absolutely right. However, sometimes iron can catch you out. And when it does, you end up digging a really big hole and finding out that it is just iron. So rather than try and mask any of the iron sounds, what the Legacy program will do is it will actually enable you to hear everything that's iron. Now, I know that that sounds a little bit odd, but trust me, if you know that it's iron, you're not going to dig it. Whereas if you're using a program that silences a lot of those low-end grunty sounds out, you only generally hear the nice higher tones that sometimes iron can generate. Whereas Legacy will let you scream iron through on the audio. It will tell you every single time that you're digging an iron target or that something isn't quite right with it, and it will just enable you to move on to the targets that actually are nice, good, high conductive targets, and therefore maximize your find potential. So you might be wondering, well, what does a good target sound like on the Legacy program? Well, the Legacy program uses 4 tones. The first 2 tones are designed at eliminating ground noise, and the second tone is actually designed to hear that iron ping through. The next 2 tones are the high conductors, and they are set to really nice high numbers, and they're going to sound totally different to anything else on that 4-tone spectrum. So have a little listen to this target here. Now that is an absolutely glorious target. It's clean, it's sweet, it's coming up within the 4th tone break, and regardless of what way around you hit this target, it is just always clean. There is no low-end grunt coming through at all. It's telling me that whatever is in here is going to be a nice solid base metal, and it's probably something that's going to be worth digging out. So let's do that now. Okay, now have a look at this little target here. That is exactly what I was talking about. It's a really nice buckle, and of course it's a solid copper alloy buckle as well. And don't forget, we are in a field that's been done to death, and yet we have come along and found this nice buckle at about 4 to 5 inches down. That is a clean target. They are definitely the ones that you want to dig. So we have just gone and found a really nice solid silver 1 shilling dated to 1886. Now don't forget, this is a field that has been done before by lots and lots of people for many, many years. I've just had this target and it was very, very deep. I would probably say this is touching around the sort of 9, possibly 10 inches. But this rang through nice and clear, and it was a really nice repeatable signal. Now, to demonstrate how deep the Legacy program can go, I'm going to bury this one back in the bottom of this hole, and then we'll go over it again with the metal detector, and I'll hopefully be able to replicate what I just heard so that you can see just how effective this program can be, especially at getting deep under the ground. So we have reburied that shilling below the ground at 9 to 10 inches. And don't forget, that is exactly the same depth at which it came out of originally. So let's see if the Legacy program can pick it up again, just like it did before I dug it out. There we go. It's there, it's clean, it's sweet, and it's consistent. I mean, that's a big chunk of silver, but people have missed that, and it's likely because it's been so deep, they just walked over it because it was such a faint target. But there we go. Don't worry about the deep stuff. Legacy is going to find you absolutely everything that is in that field that is within a reasonable amount of reach. So another reason why this program is super effective is that it works really well on most types of grounds. This field that we're in today is a heavily mineralised field. If you were to have a look at my mineralisation bar as I walk through this field, you will see it jumping up and down. That's of course telling me that there is plenty of polluted soil going on, lots of possibly rocks and things like that as well. And they're all going to play a huge factor in terms of how deep your machine can go. But Legacy has a very unique setup on the Discrimination, allowing for all of that ground noise to be completely silenced and all of the sort of iron noise and above to come through nice and loud and clear. So the Legacy program uses a maximum frequency of 24 kilohertz. That means that your XP Deus 2 is going to be running through frequencies between 4 and 24 kilohertz when you go out detecting. It's the absolutely perfect range for you to go out and find artifacts and coins and all of those little things like that. But I hear what some of you might say, well, at 40 kilohertz you could find some really small bits. And that's true, but honestly, I have been testing this program for several months, and the things that I have picked out and how small they have been has made me realise that anything smaller I probably don't want to find. So 24 kilohertz is going to serve you absolutely well. Definitely go out and give it a try. So you might be wondering, can I use the Legacy program if I'm relatively new to the XP Deus 2? Well, the answer is a resounding yes. However, I would always recommend anybody that is super new to the machine to just go out and use the factory programs first. There is a wonderful range of programs in the machines that offer a varied amount of response to different lands and ground conditions. So it's worth just getting your head around those first and just seeing what they can do before you go and put a customized one on your remote or your puck. But saying that, this program is really designed to be just a turn on and go program. The tone breaks are going to be able to help you identify good targets over bad targets as well. So that's going to be a big bonus if you are quite new to the machine. And it's not just for newcomers either. This will be a perfect program if you've been using the XP Deus 2 for quite some time and you just want something that's a bit more open, that's going to be able to find you absolutely everything that the field has to offer as well. So yep, you can definitely use it if you're new, and you can most certainly use it if you've been used to the machine for several years as well. And I think, to be honest, I'm going to be using this one indefinitely. So the Legacy program uses a very low discrimination value. That value volume is set to 0, and that's because that's going to cover most of the ground noise that you encounter. However, we have still allowed all of the ferrous and iron to come through nice and loudly, and I'll demonstrate to you why that might be important now. If you have a listen to this target, you can hear that it's quite obviously a ferrous item. Could even be a spread of very small ferrous things. But of course there was that high peak in amongst them, and it's very difficult to eradicate that from any machine. However, if we had the discrimination higher, or if we had a higher level of silencer, then all we would hear is that higher tone and not the bottom tone. So Legacy is going to let you hear absolutely everything, and that's going to be a really key player to stop you from digging things that obviously you don't really want to dig. So let's have a little listen to this patch again, and then I'll go over a target that's right next to it that's actually really nice, and you can hear the difference and you can hear how the tone and the discrimination works along with the silencer as well. There's the dirty stuff. Now have a listen to the good bit. There we go, it's right next to it. Again, we're in quite mineralized ground, but listen to how different that sounds. It's just clean, it's nice and loud, and it's repeatable. So listen to this. Well, that's just not going to be dug, is it? This nice little sweet one is what you want to be aiming for. And there we go. Just gone and found a buckle fragment just below the ground, in and amongst obviously a much more noisier patch as well. Now, given that this is a pewter button fragment, it's obviously going to be coming in at a much lower number, and the tone break number 3 there covers all of the ranges of numbers of fines that you would find something like this on as well. But you would definitely dig it for sure, and I can see why, even though it's just a button fragment. So there we are, that is my demonstration of the Legacy program, what it's capable of, and why I really do think it's going to be an important tool in anyone's arsenal. So go ahead and put it on your remote if you're on the XP Deus 2, or of course install it on the WS6 Puck if you're using the Master as well. It's probably important to mention at this stage that the program is designed primarily for version 1.1 or 2.0 on the firmware. Hasn't been tested on any previous version whatsoever, so if you're using a previous version, definitely consider upgrading, because it only gets better and better from there on in. So there we are, I hope you've enjoyed that, and don't worry, I'm going to upload the program details for you now so that you know exactly what you need to do to put the Legacy program into your machine and go out detecting and absolutely find everything that's in the ground. So now let me show you how you're going to put the Legacy program onto your Deus 2 remote control. First of all, you need to cycle through your programs till you get to program number 2, Sensitive. That's going to be the base program for the Legacy program, so once you're on there, you can make all of the following adjustments. The first thing you're going to need to do is go to the options menu here on the left hand side, and then we're going to go into the audio menu. First of all, we're going to select the audio type, which is PWM. Now you can choose any audio that you want. I personally prefer PWM, so put that in if that's what you want to use. Go down here until it says audio filter. Make sure that that is set to 0. And go down to the equalizer and push select. Once you're in the equalizer, you'll notice that the first band, which is 150 Hz, is set to plus 6 decibels. If you go across to 450 Hz, that's at 0 decibels, 2K, 0 decibels, and the 4K range there is at plus 6 decibels. So program all of those in, and then once you've done that, just push the back button here. Now go down once more and you'll notice that you're just back to the same menu where we began. So we can come out of there and out again. Now go into the middle menu button and you'll notice that discrimination is set to 1.9. Click Expert. You'll notice that we're using 4 tones. The first tone is obviously the previous discrimination value of 1.9. Push the middle button to go across and you'll notice there that it's 211 Hz as a tone. Go across again and the volume is 0. Now if you go to tone break number 2, which is 34, you'll notice that the tone break is 197 Hz with a volume of 10. Go to the tone break 3, that's 74 with 687 Hz at a volume of 10. And the last tone break is at 961 Hz, also with a volume of 10. So once you've programmed all of those tone breaks in, you can then push the back button. Push the middle button to go down. You'll notice that the bottle cap discrimination is at 2. Notch is completely off. If you're struggling with Coke, feel free to put a notch in anywhere between sort of 23, 27 to 33. And you'll notice that the silencer is also on 0. Push it again and you'll just go straight back to the 4 tones menu. So now push the back button. Now push the middle button and we're going to go down to sensitivity. Sensitivity for the Legacy program is set to 96. Now that's a pretty good average all-round sensitivity, but if you are struggling with EMI or maybe other people's detectors, then you can adjust that up or down. Go down again and the frequency max here will be up to 24 kilohertz. I currently don't have a coil connected, which is why it's showing the 2 dots, but just make sure yours is on a maximum frequency of 24 kilohertz. Going down again, you'll notice that iron volume is on 0. Going down again, the reactivity is on 3. It's a pretty good, steady, middle of the road reactivity. If you do want a bit more depth and you're working in very clean ground, then feel free to go down to say 2.5. But obviously if it's very iron infested, then you might want to go up to 4. Go down again and you'll notice that audio response is on 5. And if you go down again, you'll see that we're back exactly where we started at the discrimination. So all that's left to do is just push the back button, go into the ground balance menu, which is the button on the right hand side, push down until you see ground stabilizer. Put that on 2. Now that's not going to make a huge lot of difference, but it can just help make your machine a little bit more stable in certain types of ground. And that is pretty much it. That is how you get the legacy program onto your XP Deus 2 remote control. And of course, all that's left to do is save it in as legacy. So push the options tab on the left hand side, go down until you see program. And then in there, you can select a spare slot and save it in as legacy. Please do save it in as legacy so you know exactly which program you are using and where you got it from. And that is pretty much it. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I would love to hear all of your feedback with regarding this program, but I'm pretty sure you're going to really enjoy this one. Thank you very much.